comedian Jim Davidson slammed the BBC as he demanded it be scrapped. Appearing on Monday's GB News, the former BBC star labelled the platform woke and accused the corporation of caring only about box ticking. GB News' Dan Wootton had him on the show to detail his experience of being removed from the BBC. "So, where do you see the BBC heading now, Jim?" GB News host Dan asked. "Is it going to become even more of an activist organisation? Because let's be honest, Jim, ever since Brexit, we know that the BBC, even in their news and current affairs department, has campaigned against and for certain issues. You know, they despised Brexiteers like Nigel Farage, who we've got coming up, and they never thought Brexit was going to win and, you know, is it going to go even more down that path now? Well, I don't know," Jim responded. "It's up to Tim, Davy, and all those silly people. They want to get rid of the chairman because he arranged some loan. Everyone's just picking on one another. I think the BBC have lost the public, they've lost the dressing room. You know, who do we watch now? GB News, anything but BBC. What does BBC stand for? Bring back Corbyn, bring back communism. It is a joke, and we have to pay for it, whether we like it or not. Let's scrap it. Let's watch GB News all day long." It came as the controversial star had been asked to share his opinions on Gary Lineker's brief dismissal from Match of the Day after he shared comments on social media criticising the government's immigration policy. Former legend of the BBC Jim Davidson, of course, he hosted the generation gap between 1995 and 2002 until his contract was abruptly ended, Dan stated. "And Jim, you say the woke BBC even back then had an issue with you being a working-class Tory. So is it strictly champagne socialists like Lineker and Ian Wright who are allowed at BBC HQ? Don't miss." GMB viewers fume as Ed Balls talks over guest in appalling clash. Latest, Ed Balls issues apology after swearing live on Good Morning Britain. Video, Meghan McCubbin talks confidence issues over pursuing wildlife career. Exclusive, I wouldn't actually say that Ian Wright is a champagne socialist. I like Ian and I got well with him, the former presenter replied. But my political interest was cast upon me way before at Thames Television when I had the Jim Davidson Show. A man, John Howard Davis, who was a BBC producer, turned up and got rid of me and Benny Hill overnight. And then about a year later, I got this little cassette VHS dropped on my desk from my manager which said, "The BBC wants you. They want you to do this. It's a rotten show about snooker." So I went and did that show, and I never particularly felt welcome there. I was a smell under some people's noses. And then one day Bruce Forsyth went sick and I stepped in and did the generation game. I replaced him just for a day and I wasn't particularly good, but it made Bruce get better very quickly. The opinionated TV star added, and so when he went to do his new deal, they said, "Oh no, we've got Jim Davidson," and I did the generation game for 7 years. I did Big Break for 12 seasons and 7 seasons of Generation. Now looked at the BBC. I'm totally erased. I am the statue that's thrown into Bristol Docks and they give me £1 million to go away. I had a contract with £1 million worth of wages and they said, "We'll give you £1 million if you go away." Please don't tell anyone, but I've told you, Danny boy. Dan Wootton Tonight airs weekdays from 9 p.m. on GB News.